good morning. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and I'm glad that you've joined me. It's Friday. We made it through the week. TGIF, I guess is what you call it. It has been a week of continued nonsense, of political nonsense as we watch what's going on in Washington, D.C. I mean, it just boggles my mind and frustrates me every single day. Now, this morning, I want to talk about, again, this $40 billion. And if you don't think that $40 billion affects your personal finances in your business, well, it does. Because, you see, when you spend that $40 billion and you send it to Ukraine, where does the $40 billion come from? Well, it comes from the printing presses. You got to print more money, and they got to take out more loans to cover this. They got to borrow against it. So what does that do? Well, it increases inflation because now the government is spending more money. Every time the government puts more money out there, unfortunately, this money, this $40 billion, is not coming into the United States pocket. So it helps us no how. It's going to a foreign nation, and we don't know how it's being used. This morning, I was happy to see that Rand Paul was able to stop the vote on this $40 billion. It's not 40 million, it's 40 billion. It's a lot of money that Americans are sending over to a foreign country that has a history of being notoriously corrupt. But what he wants done is for us to take a look at the use of this money. How is it being used? Is it being used correctly and wisely? And Democrats are saying, oh my gosh, what do you mean? Why are you questioning this? Why are you even considering stopping this? Because these people need the money. You know what? This is not our war. They're not on our border. So what is happening over there is not affecting Americans at the moment. Yes, we've got some people here from Ukraine, but it is not affecting us. It's not a national security threat to the United States. Now, we do have national security threats here in the United States that we should be spending money on, especially when it comes to Border Patrol, when it comes to the medical care that we have on drug overdoses, on mental health issues of people living in the street, the homeless population, the veterans that don't have places to stay. We have a lot of questions that need answers, and we need that $40 billion here in the United States, not in Ukraine. And the problem is that the United States Senate right now is putting a foreign nation above the needs of our own nation. They're putting a foreign nation as the number one priority instead of dealing with those moms that need milk for their children. The guy that needs a place to stay because he's down and out on his luck. You see, those senators owe this country. Both Democrats and Republicans have almost use the F word, and I don't want to do that. But they have screwed this country so greatly with all of their policies that put more pressure upon small businesses, upon families, upon their tax returns, upon everything. They have screwed it up. And now they think that by sending $40 billion, when, the European Union has spent pennies on the dollar, pennies, to fight a country that's on their border, to help a country that's on their border. But yet, America thinks, let's throw some more money at it. Throw money. When was the last time that you've heard anybody say, okay, let's have some peace talks? Let's sit down and talk peace. Listen, if you guys want me to go over there and mediate it, I'll do it for free. Just contact me and I'll do it for free. But let's not be stupid about this. The peacemakers have been missing. The United Nations peacemakers and negotiators have been missing. Countries of the EU, their mediators and negotiators have been missing. So what do? We keep throwing bombs and we keep throwing missiles and we keep throwing tanks and everything else at Ukraine. And now we want to spend another $40 billion on Ukraine. I tell you, you got to pause there and take a deep breath. Because if not, it is just so mystifying as to how stupid we have people in the United States Senate, both Republican and Democrat. And I tell you what, I am from the state of South Carolina, and Lindsey Graham, who's our senator, who represents us, is the number one warmongering senator who keeps pushing and pushing and pushing war. More money, do it. If you look at his former tapes with Senator McCain when they went to Ukraine, promising that they would supply them with missiles and everything else. And this was even before war even started. This was when McCain was still alive. So way back then, he was still pushing this nonsense of entangling Russia and Ukraine together. I hate warmongering senators. Instead of sitting down, okay, let's spend some money on peaceful negotiations. Let's bring the two countries together. Let's sit down. You got to have the two leaders in the room because they're the decision makers. But instead, we keep pushing, spending more and more and more and more money. I tell you, I want you to support Rand Paul. I'm just asking this of you, okay? Support Rand Paul on this issue of stopping this $40 billion to Ukraine. Call your senator today and say, we do not want any more American money to be going to Ukraine. We don't want it. Sound like Biden. We don't want it. Don't do it. You got to laugh at it too because it's so stupid of what's happening in the United States Senate at the moment. Senator Chuck Schumer, he's all upset because Rand Paul got it stopped. Thank God he got it stopped. Now maybe the senators will sit down and say, okay, how is this money going to be met? I hope they get into little committees and go over the bill together, line by line by line, and say, oh, no, this can't happen, that can't happen. And come out of there saying, this bill is a bunch of crap and walk away from it. But no, you've got people like Lindsey Graham who wants to push it and get more money over there to this country that is so corrupt, that has been corrupting our politicians for a long time. And you know the story behind that. I don't have to go through that again. But we're in a situation that we can no longer afford to be funding foreign wars when we have wars right here at home that we need to solve and to resolve and to get the American people back on track of where we have literally taken them and crushed them through a pandemic, and now we're crushing them through an inflationary time. We can't be spending $40 billion while we are facing such hardship and inflation of the American people. We just cannot do it. Call your senator today. Tell him to vote no. I think this is the most important thing because we've got to start thinking about this country. I got to start thinking about you. You've got to start thinking about me, and we've got to get this country back united and together again. This is ridiculous. $40 billion. Think of it. Say it with me. $40 billion of nonsense. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is that Elon Musk said today that he is temporarily stopping the purchase of Twitter. And I can understand the reason why. For some reason, and when you are doing a merger and acquisition, you're looking at all the numbers. You're looking at the financials. You're looking at subscribers. You're looking at everything that's on there. Because if there's anything that could hurt the company, you want to know about it. And that's what he's doing. He's doing his due diligence. Great. Good for him. But he's found something, and that's on fake accounts. His question is is there more than 5% of fake accounts on Twitter? He wants to know that before he puts his money down. Is he getting a full bucket of good, solid, opened accounts, or is he getting some bad stuff that's being used for something else? It's a good question. I would have asked the question too. In other words, if you're buying a company, you want to know what the long-term liabilities are and how you're going to fix them, and how much money it's going to take to fix it. You want to look at what legalities are there that could come back and haunt you. And that's what he's doing. So due diligence. Everybody should be doing due diligence on everything. So Elon Musk is doing the right thing. So don't worry about this. Let's just see where his due diligence leads us. Well, leads him, I mean, not us, but him. So that is the topic for today. Listen, you might be thinking, well, why is he talking so much about this $40 billion? Because it affects you and it affects me. Inflation has already hurt us, and now they're going to... Remember all these Republicans going around saying, oh, we can't spend more money, we can't print more money, we can't produce more money because it's increasing inflation. And then what do? They're thinking about spending another $40 billion after they just gave us a lecture of how it increases inflation. So it affects us. This $40 billion affects your dollar. It affects your life. It affects your family. It affects your business. It affects all of our finances. And yet they're willing to put Americans at risk again. For another country. Not for us. For another country. I would much rather that they be risking something for the United States and for you and me than for risking it on a corrupt nation called Ukraine. Fighting another corrupt nation called Russia. I mean, they're all a bunch of nuts. And we've got a bunch of nuts in Congress. You got a bunch of nuts in the Senate. We can no longer do this. We are in inflation, and we're going into recession. And I've been saying all along we are in a recession, and right now we're very close to a depression because of the way that the Federal Reserve has not responded, the way that the Senate and the Congress have not responded, and the way that the President has done nothing. Call your senator. Think about your personal finances. Get ready for hard times in the next few months. Because we're going to have to face them together. And as we go through this, I'm going to give you some tactics and some suggestions on what we can do to face inflation and what we can do to fight it and what we can do to increase our cash flow. And we are just going to talk about that. If you want me to talk about anything, just let me know. Okay? Listen. Help and support me. I greatly appreciate it by going to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. Again, that's buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. If you want more access to me, just go to my website, which is www.lodge-co.com. Again, that's www.lodge-co.com. This is the last day of the week. We can do great things today. And if we don't, we have another day. But let's try and do it today. Let's try and reach out and at least help somebody else. Give somebody a good upward talking to. This is Friday. May you be blessed on this Friday. And I'll talk with you very soon. Bye-bye.